There's been no crowd like this. And I can tell you, some of the candidates, they went in, they didn't know the air conditioner didn't work. They sweated like dogs. They didn't know the room was too big because they didn't have anybody there. How are they going to beat ISIS?
I have no more campaigns to run. My only agenda, I know because I won both of them.
They said to Marco Rubio, are you having fun? He's sweating like a pig. I never saw a guy sweat like this. The sweat is pouring.
And so, that is why tonight, grounded by the lessons of our history, but inspired by the promise of our future, I announce my candidacy for President of the United States.
I'm asking you just...
Yeah, I understand, but it's not the same question.
But that's the question I'm asking you. Was it a mistake to
go to... It was not a mistake for the president to decide to go into Iraq because at the time he was told...
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you...
In hindsight.
Yes.
No, the world is a better place because Saddam Hussein is not there.
So was it
I
a
wouldn't
mistake
characterize
or
it, but I don't understand the question you're asking.
Some people are really fucking stupid.
I actually have something I would use the Department of Education to do.
Would it be pack boxes for the State Department? The IRS?
No, it would be to monitor our institutions of higher education for extreme political bias and deny federal funding if it exists.
Well, I just happen to believe that people are not stupid, and the way I will come at it is to educate people.
Fundraising, does she spend any of that against Bernie Sanders?
It's really hard, by the way, for the candidate who's running again on reforming campaign finance reform to have $45 million of hard dollars in the bank and then spend it against Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. The court essentially said to the wealthiest people in this country is, okay, guys, you already own much of our economy. Today is your lucky day. We are now going to give you the opportunity to purchase the United States government, and that is precisely what they are doing this very moment.
That's just going to anger the troops even more.
You do not want to stomp Uncle Fluffy to death. That is a dumb idea.
I represented Wall Street as a senator from New York, and I went to Wall Street in December of 2007, before the big crash that we had, and I basically said, cut it out. Quit foreclosing on homes. Quit engaging in these kinds of speculative behaviors. I took on the Bush administration for the same thing.
I had yesterday a lobbyist call me up. It's a friend of mine. Good guy. Smart as hell. He's for his client. I don't blame him. He said, Donald, I want to put $5 million into your campaign. I said, I don't need it. I don't want it. Because when you come back to me in 2 years and you want help for a company that you're representing or a country that you're representing, I'm going to do the right thing for the people of the United States, and I don't want to have to insult you.
They're full of shit.
almost $176 million, and July 1 of every year, it's gone. And that's what I've been trying to stop. I may not be very articulate because I came from the streets.
It's amazing how time flies. Soon the first presidential contest will take place, and I, for one, cannot wait to see who the Koch brothers pick.
I saw that there's a Supergirl is on TV. I saw it when I was working out this morning. There's an ad promoting Supergirl. She looked pretty hot.
A few weeks ago, Dick Cheney says he thinks I'm the worst president of his lifetime. Which is interesting because I think Dick Cheney is the worst president of my lifetime.
Which means we have to be a lot more productive. Workforce participation has to rise from its all-time modern lows. Means that people need to work longer hours and through their productivity gain more income for their families.
And I think you can see I'm having a good time. I really am. You know, they said Jeb Bush was like this. They said, are you having fun? Yes.
I'm about had it with these people.
The third question, most popular question from Google is Rand Paul still running for president? And I don't know, wouldn't be doing this dumbass live streaming if I weren't. So yes, I still am running for president. Get over it. Where is Rand Paul in the polls? This is not live. We can't edit this, right? All right.
Do you know how crazy this election is?
Any president who doesn't begin every day on his knees isn't fit to be commander-in-chief of this country. Amen.
Oh my.
Look, we did this interview to talk about my new book, A Time for Truth. And one of the things I'm amazed at is the media, with all respect, is obsessed with sex.
And you know what that sin is? It's a sin of homosexuality. Romans 1, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, 1 Timothy, I think it's chapter 4, and of course Leviticus 18 and Leviticus 20.
Amen.
Paul affirms that this particular sin is worthy of death.
Won't you fight for your life? Won't you recognize who these scum are?
I would suggest man believes that it can redefine marriage. It's apparent that man believes that he has become his own God. And this is a dangerous place for America to be. And the only explanation of how we can ever hope to go forward, we need to be a nation under God that unapologetically recognizes that the founders of our country, regardless of what they personally practiced, they clearly understood that there was a God to whom we ultimately will answer, and our laws need to reflect his.
Horse apples. They are crazy. They are stone cold fuck nuts.
Meanwhile, Rick Santorum announced that he would not attend the same-sex wedding of a friend or a loved one, to which gays and lesbians across the country responded, "That's not going to be a problem." Don't sweat that one.
You still. What I said is that if you have the right to consensual sexual activity, and that was the issue, then it opens the door to a variety of different things. And
Does this ruling do that?
I think there's no question. Well, this ruling did it. I mean, this ruling followed up with what I said would happen if the Supreme Court ruled the way it did.
Ted told me I've got to wait now until the next election. I don't think the country will be around for the next election. Obama tried to blow up a nuke in Charleston a few months ago, and the three admirals and generals, he has totally destroyed our military. He's fired all the generals and all the admirals that said they wouldn't fire on the American people if you asked them to do so, if he wanted to take the guns away from them.
This man is a communist dictator. We need him out of that White House now.
A bunch of pompous, badly dressed, poverty-stricken, sexually repressed football hooligans.
A candidate whose mere consideration of running would fill me with a joy bordering on giddiness.
We set up a testing the waters committee under the IRS code that would allow me to look beyond South Carolina as to whether or not a guy like Lindsey Graham has a viable path.
Thank you, Jesus.
Amen.
Security funding runs out on Friday. Are we less safe as a nation?
If vans and butts were candy and nuts, every day would be Christmas.
It's going to be a clean VHS funding bill. Are you going to put it on the floor? Are you going to kill it? Are you going to let them vote on it? Have you even had this discussion?
When I make decisions, I'll let you know. It's become clear to me that this prolonged leadership turmoil would do irreparable harm to the institution. So this morning, I informed my colleagues that I would resign from the speakership and resign from Congress at the end of October.
Just a few minutes ago, Speaker Boehner announced that he will be resigning.
I'm talking about the people who mind the store and grow the food and walk the beat and pay the taxes and raise the family. They do not sit in this house. They do not have fancy titles, but they are the people who make this country work, and this house should work for them.
In saying that you would accept the speakership, Mr. Speaker, you said that you wouldn't take the job if it interferes with your family time, which has opened up a national conversation about the importance of spending time with your family. And there are many people in this country who would like to see you make your first priority legislation that gives people the backing of the federal government so that they can have time with their families. Would you make that one of your first priorities?
So I don't think people ask me to be Speaker so that I can take more money from hardworking taxpayers to create some new federal entitlement. But I think people want to have members of Congress that represent them, that are like them. Don't you want your member of Congress to be a citizen legislator who lives with you, among you, who has your own kinds of concerns?
He's full of shit.
Vladimir Putin, if I may. Having met Vladimir Putin, I wouldn't talk to him at all. We've talked way too much to him. What I would do immediately is begin rebuilding the Sixth Fleet. I would begin rebuilding the missile defense program in Poland. I would conduct regular, aggressive military exercises in the Baltic states. I'd probably send a few thousand more troops into Germany. Vladimir Putin would get the message. By the way, the reason it is so critically important that every one of us...
General Soleimani's name is because Russia is in Syria right now because the head of the Quds Force traveled to Russia and talked Vladimir Putin into aligning themselves with Iran and Syria to prop up Bashar al-Assad. Russia is a bad actor, but Vladimir Putin is someone we should not talk to because the only way he will stop is to sense strength and resolve on the other side.
Have you noticed that every one of these candidates say, Obama's weak. Putin's kicking sand in his face. When I talk to Putin, he's going to straighten out. Just looking at him, he's going to be...
Now think of this. Now we all agree Putin is a pretty tough customer, right? Who would you rather negotiate with Putin, Trump or Bush?
And then it turns out they can't handle a bunch of CNBC moderators at a debate.
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I tell you that. I'll bring back our jobs from China, from Mexico, from...
He's full of shit.
Look at what's happening right now. Every serious scientist says we need to act. The Pentagon says it's a national security risk. Miami floods on a sunny day, and instead of doing anything about it, we've got elected officials throwing snowballs in the Senate.
Of national attention, in case we have forgotten, because we keep hearing that 2014 has been the warmest year on record, I asked the chair, you know what this is? It's a snowball, and that's just from outside here. So it's very, very cold out, very unseasonal. So here, Mr. President, catch this. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I got it, bro. It is crazy. What about our kids? What kind of stupid, short-sighted, irresponsible bull? Whoa! Hey! What? Okay, no, hey.
One of the pillars of your economic program is a flat tax. How would that work?
Well, I like the idea of a proportional tax. That way you pay according to your ability. And I got that idea, quite frankly, from the Bible, tithing. You make $10 billion a year, you pay $1 billion. You make $10 a year, you pay $1 billion. You get the same rights. That's pretty darn fair if you ask me.
We better be careful that we don't turn this country over to somebody who's not capable of running it.
Amen.